Hello and welcome to another edition of Luminar Coffee Break. I'm your host, Vanelli. Now, our topic today is how to add a creative vignette on an image using a radial mask. Now, I'm going to show you a couple different ways on how to do this. The easiest and most simplest way to do this, of course, is using the vignette tool. But there are times when you want to get a little more creative and you want to do it manually. All right, so I'll show you both ways on how to do that. All right, let's dive right in. So here we are with a beautiful image of a mother and daughter. And like I said before, the easiest thing to do is to click on the vignette tool, choose the subject, which will be the mother and daughter, and then I can adjust my vignette accordingly. And all I'm doing here is I'm applying the amount, the size, and then of course feathering it. Now if I want to see what the vignette is actually doing, I'd crank the amount and the size to 100 all the way to the left, and now we can actually see what the feathering is doing and the effect the roundness has on it, and then I'll just dial it back. Right about there. So the goal of the vignette is to draw attention to the subject. So if I turn it on and off, here it is without the vignette, here it is with, I'm going to give it a little bit more. That's it. Look at that. So it's definitely drawing attention right to the subject, and this tool also lets you add inner light. So I'll go to an extreme. So you can actually add inner light to the center of that vignette. So that's my recommendation. Go to if you want to make a vignette. However, there are people who would love to do it manually like in the old days. And I'm going to show you a couple options on how we can do it manually and then get a little more creative with it. All right. So I took off the vignette, and what I want to do is come over here to the local masking tool. Now, with the local masking tool, I'm going to click on the plus button for add, and I'm going to click on basic. Now, here is where I'm going to make a global change to the entire image. So I'm going to lower the exposure, and notice the entire image is being affected. All I care about is the edges. So in the past, I used to use a big brush just like this and then paint out the areas or paint in the areas I wanted. But instead, let's get a little more creative. We're going to click on the radial mask. Now, we're going to draw a circle right in the middle. And wherever there's red, that's the mask. The red's going to represent, that's the area that the darkness is going to be applied to. The center area is going to show where we're erasing that effect. So there we have it. And now once I have it set, I can still come over here and change up. Let me just lock it into place. There we go. And I can still make changes. I can still come in here, adjust the shadows, or if I need to, I can come in and bring the darkness a little bit further. That's a little too much, but right about here. If I want to blur the edges all the way around with structure, instead of going to a positive value, let's go to a negative. And now it's going to blur the areas around it. And I could lower or desaturate. Let's go to 100%. I could take the saturation and the vibrancy all the way down like this. I mean, again, it's just an example to show you. What we're probably doing in a case like this is just enough to where it's not as bright and as colorful as the rest of the image, but it's there. All right? So you see the difference of what we just did. We did the quick and easy way using the vignette tool, and that's the preferred method. However, if you wanted to take it to another level, put the paint mask, if you wanted to take it to a different level, then you can apply a local mask and use that radial mask that we just did to bring in the areas you want to show the darkness, which was around the side, and remove the darkness from the areas in the front. All right? Let me check with Pat real quick here. We have a question. Good, Pat's saying, and hello. So sometimes, yes. So Pat's saying, I wish the Vignette tool had a layer mask. Sometimes there's a darker corner or two in the original photo that's already darkened and doesn't need to make it even darker. So what you could do, or you just need the different levels. Okay, good. So in her case, again, she's looking at it from a creative perspective to where you could do what we just did here and just touch up those areas. In fact, let's reset this. So I'm going to reset it, and let's start again. So I'm going to bring the exposure way down, and now I'll use the brush tool instead. So in your case, Pat, if you wanted to do it, let's say with the brush tool, you could change the opacity of that to whatever you want it to be. So maybe some of the areas needed to have a lot of it, and maybe some of it didn't need to have as much. Well, you could set that all right in here and then make your changes. All right? Did I hit erase or did I oh, it's thinking. So you see what I'm getting at there, Pat? Is you can actually use the brush tool to go back through and pick the areas you want a little bit darker and a little bit brighter. All right? Now, with that being said, let's continue on with the radial mask. All right? I'm going to come to the image over here. Oh, here we go. Here we have Lewis. A lot of you have seen me working with his images before. Good looking kid. What we want to do is I want to blur or soften the edges around him because this already looks like a good image. Let's make it better. So I'm going to come to templates and let AI figure out what it feels Lewis will look really good in which tools. You know what? I agree. The black and white tools, or the Soulful will probably make this look great. Yeah, it does. So you know what though? Let's make this color though. So I'm going to come down to my favorites. Nope, I just removed them. So let me pick some of these here. Let's go with family portrait. He's going to give this to his girlfriend, so let's go with some more of the romantic type moods. That's a little too much. Film grain, let's say. Okay, I like film grain, but what I don't like is the actual grain. So let's come over here to edit. And I'm going to come down to the creative section where it says film grain. And let's just reset that to 0. Good, now I like that. Ooh, all right, so this is a cool shot. I like it. Now from here, let's do what we just talked about. I'm going to come over here to the glow tool. And I'll select soft focus. Let's just give it 100% so we can see the effect that it's doing. So that's soft glow, glow, Orton effect. Okay, and Orton effect soft. I think I'm going to go with glow and then dial it back. And remember, I don't want this on Lewis. I just want it on the areas around him. So here, this tool, all of our tools also has the masking capability. So once again, I'll click on Radial Mask, and I'm going to draw it right on Lewis's face and on the tree. And there we have it. And now if I feel the effect is too strong, here's the master slider. I can dial it back and then slowly increase it. And notice these areas here, the areas on the side where we put the radial mask is a softer blend than the areas in the front. All right, so once again, let's come back to templates. Let's see if the cinematic ones will look good. With darker skin, these might make it come out a little bit too dark. I love the background, but again, on him, we want to bring it out a little bit more. So, I thought I'd say Cameron. All right, so Canon Fade. Oh, I like this one. All right, so here's a great starting point. We have it set. And let's come right up here to Accent AI. Good, I like what that's doing there. And since it's a portrait, let's come down to the portrait tools. Right here. And with face, I want to add some face light. Not too much. So this is 100%. There we go. Look at that. All right. Good. So now we're at a really good point. You know what? He has really cool eyes. So why don't we make the eyes enhance even more? There we go. He looked like he was partying a little bit too much. So let's remove some of the dark circles under his eyes. See that? Good, there we go. All right, so he's looking great. Now, let's do what we just did. I'll come over here to local mask, add. There's that basic. And then from here, I'm going to take the basic and take that exposure. And all I'm looking at right now is the sides here. All right. Come up, radial mask. And I just want to bring it right about to here. There we go. That's it. And then I'll dial it back a little bit. And then maybe the structure, make it look a little more blurry. Make it look blurry. And there we have it. All right. So two ways of doing it. The preferred way, of course, is using the tool that was designed for this, the vignette tool. If you don't want to use the vignette tool, then you have the local masking tool with that radial that you just drag around and keep the area in front, which would be his face, without getting the dark exposure. Make the face nice and light and let it fade off into darkness. All right? Great. Let's see if you have any other questions. Good. Yes, so all the tools, well, not all of them, the majority of the tools does have layer masking, or has masking, the masking option for it. So for people like Pat, who really likes to get in and spend an extra 15, 20 minutes on an image to add a little more creativity to it, each of those tools, you could add or take away the effect from them. All right? Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you at the next coffee break.